Welcome back to Rob Schmitt Tonight. You know, there's a reason that Joe Biden went 300 days without a formal press conference. He tends to say things that get his administration into trouble. Yesterday, the president invited Vladimir Putin to make a modest move against Ukraine. Here it is again.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera.
So yeah, today there's been a lot of damage control, but if you're Vladimir Putin and you hear the president of the United States say this.
It's one thing if it's a minor incursion.
You realize you're dealing with a country that has little intent to actually defend Ukraine. Putin probably still can't believe he's getting the XL pipeline. He's loving this White House. Much more forgiving than the last one. Think about that. Here's some of the damage control from the White House today. Quote, President Biden has been clear with the Russian president if any Russian military forces move across the Ukrainian border, that's a renewed invasion. It will be met with a swift, severe, and united response from the United States and our allies. And they all get out in front of the cameras and effectively repeat.
I've been absolutely clear with President Putin.
If there is the movement of any military troops across the border, that is an invasion. If they go in,
it will be met with a cost, a severe cost, period.
Joining me now is national security analyst Rick Grenell, who's been helping us a lot with Ukraine. Good to see you again. A major unforced error here. How big of a deal is this?
Well, I think it's a disaster because it's been building and it's exactly what people think. I mean, remember, we're coming off Afghanistan, where the Biden administration was very proud to have rescued 90% of the people. Now, what our allies heard is, dear God, you left 10% of the people behind. Now what you see is, language like small incursions are okay. And when dealing with Putin, weakness is a very serious thing. And we've said it before, but I think it deserves repeating. There's a difference between a threat of military action and a credible threat of military action. Joe Biden doesn't have the credible down.
Ukraine's president, Vladimir Zelensky, responded to all this. We want to remind the great powers that there are no minor incursions and small nations, just as there are no minor casualties and little grief from the loss of loved ones. I say this as the president of a great power. They must have been blindsided by all of this. And again, I think you see why it's very dangerous to let Biden just go out there and start talking.
Look, what happened today from the Ukrainian president is really unbelievable, unprecedented. Here you have an ally of the United States and an ally of NATO really complaining in real time about words from the president of the United States. Look, Rob, there were a lot of criticisms about President Trump and our administration undercutting NATO because we were trying to force NATO members to pay their fair share and their obligations. I now have information from the team in Berlin, where I was, that Secretary Blinken today met with the foreign minister, the new foreign minister of Germany, and he never brought up the delinquency of Germany's NATO obligations. They're not paying their 2%, but yet they have a budget surplus. Meanwhile, now they're nervous about what's happening in Ukraine because there could possibly be rewriting of borders in Europe. And so a lot of this has to be called out. The United States has to be the one to say, what do you expect? You're not paying your NATO bill. You're undercutting NATO. What do you think Russia reads? Putin has seen all of this. Putin has seen the Germans not pay their NATO bill and other members not pay their NATO bill. And now he's seen Joe Biden not care, not bring it up in diplomatic meetings. That is a loud message to Putin, and he is no dummy.
It is funny. I mean, when you look at the NATO, we've always been sold that this NATO was such this great alliance that was so necessary for all of these decades. And at the end of the day, it's just so much of a better deal for everyone else than it is for us. Just like most of the way that we deal with the world. Everybody else gets a great deal, and we get kind of a crappy one. Our White House correspondent, James Rosen, asked the president yesterday about America's perception that he is not mentally up to the job. It was a very bold question. He was excoriated by the establishment media. But in reality, it seems, especially in this moment, it was probably the most relevant question of the day, wasn't it?
Look, everybody outside of Washington, D.C. is talking about this.
Yeah.
I thought the way that James handled it was perfect. He really was thoughtful. He was sincere. I think he was deferential to the office of the president, but he was also courageous and blunt.
Yeah.
And that's what we need from the press corps right now. Only in Washington, D.C. newsrooms is that question inappropriate, because we have a whole bunch of people in Washington who are protecting Joe Biden because they're not journalists. They are people who protect the Democratic Party.
Yeah, yeah. People like James are very rare in Washington these days. He was respectful. He said he respects the office. He respects the president. But he says, I have to ask you a question. He based it on a poll that came out from Politico that morning, and yet he still gets excoriated as some kind of right-wing nut job for asking that question. A question, like you said, everybody is talking about. It's something else. Rick Grenell.
Yeah, he's not being criticized outside of Washington. Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you so much, Rick. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Rob.
After the last election, liberty-minded Americans are facing a difficult question. What do we do now? We do have a plan to stop them. This is the only plan that bypasses Biden and Congress to save the republic. Sign the petition at conventionofstates.com.